After the fight that Kazuma had with his father, he returned back to his hotel for the night. Although, he would soon see that he had an unexpected guest. His younger brother, Ren. He hadn't seen or heard from him in the last 4 years, but of course, he didn't put that on Ren. His father cut off all communication, so it was only natural that his younger brother wouldn't have had a chance to reach out to him. Not that he made himself easy to find in the first place. When Ren saw his brother Kazuma approaching, he ran to him excitedly. He hadn't seen him in a long time, and although he was a little annoyed that Kazuma pretended like he didn't know who he was, the bond between brothers was something that could not be broken. As they went inside, Kazuma would take him to his suite, a room that was rather lavish and expensive, but for Kazuma, he could afford it. For Ren, he had no idea the type of life that his brother had been living, but from everything he had heard, it sounded fantastic. Of course, for Kazuma, he would get right to the point after the small talk had reached its natural conclusion. "What exactly are you doing here, Ren?" Kazuma would ask. "Well, it's just that you're back now. I was wondering if, did it mean you were coming back to the family?" "I think you and I both know the answer to that. It'll be a cold day in hell before I ever go back to the Kanagi family." "But why? Haven't things changed? I thought maybe..." "Nothing's changed, Ren. Don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to see you. After all, I hold no grudge against you personally. But the Kanagis, they're a different story. They abandoned me. They left me when I had nothing. I was useless to them. And up until now, I was dead. But now that they think that I'm the killer, now I'm public enemy number 1. I know you're not. I know you couldn't have done it." "Well, of course I didn't. The Kanagi family members that were killed were definitely killed by a wind magic user. The only problem is, I'm not a wind magic user." "What? You're not?" Kazuma would raise his finger as he pointed it towards Ren, before shooting the equivalent of a snowball in his face. "Ow! Ow! What was that for? It's cold!" "I know. Wait, snow? Ice? No way. You're an ice magic user?" "Correctamundo. Of course, I have the ability to create strong wind currents due to the frost, but that's just the approximate of ice magic. It's not wind. It's water and wind that are the descendants of ice. So I have the superior version, if you ask me." "It's incredible. If that's the case, your power isn't just on the level of a Kanagi. You're equal to them. You might even be..." "Surpassed? Yeah, I know. Me and Dad just had a long chat. Well, I wouldn't use the word long. More so, he's gonna be under the weather for a little bit." "Kazuma, you and Dad fought?" "Yeah, and I won." "You mean, you beat Father?" "Why you sound so surprised?" It's just... I know. Your image of me hasn't changed very much since then, has it? Well, look, I don't have any intentions on getting involved with the Kanagi family. So there's no point in asking or begging. As far as I'm concerned, they're going their way, and I'm going mine. Ren knew better than to try to keep the subject going, but because it was late, Kazuma was going to let him stay for the night. As the next morning would come, as the sun had barely risen over the horizon, Kazuma felt an unease shifting in the air, a dark aura. He would wake up Ren in the nick of time as half of the building had been cut. Kazuma would immediately race to the outside along with Ren, watching as the top half of the building was beginning to fall. Knowing that he had to act quickly, Kazuma would summon as many ice spirits as he could to him at once, along with wind and water spirits to add for extra boost. Ren would watch in awe of Kazuma as he descended into his Iceman form. He was chiseled in a block of ice before bursting out and looking like he had been carved from it. "Get the other people to safety, Ren." "Understood. What are you gonna do?" "I gotta put all my attention into catching this thing before it falls." Kazuma would raise his arms into the air as pillars of ice would be created, catching the top half of the hotel building that fell. Kazuma would then create a new ice structure underneath to hold it in place long enough for the people to be evacuated to safety. In the midst of making sure that the top half of the building didn't crush those down below, he heard Ren's cries as he was being taken away. But Kazuma was caught between a rock and a hard place. He had to focus on keeping the civilians safe by any means. But by the time he finished, Ren was gone. But thankfully, there was a clue. The bastard in charge of this little caper chose to stick around long enough for his face to be seen. And Kazuma knew right away who he was dealing with. And unfortunately, this meant he'd have to take a little trip back home. Once making sure that the area was secure, Kazuma would make the long trek back to the Kanagi compound. As he did so, he walked on that very bridge, the bridge where everything changed for him on that snowy night. And now, he found himself at the entrance of the Kanagi family compound. So many memories flooding back to him all at once, of times long since past. He took a deep breath as he walked under the gate, knowing fully the welcome that he was about to receive. He hadn't gotten more than 20 feet into the compound before he found himself surrounded by members of the Kanagi family, all of them still believing that Kazuma was the wind magic user and the murderer. They talked a big game, but that big game couldn't be backed up. Kazuma didn't have to exert much force, although he did exonerate himself. He proved without a shadow of a doubt that he wasn't the wind magic user, and the Kanagi's got some nice ice sculptures. Jugo couldn't help but laugh. "Well, it's not quite winter time yet, but I do appreciate works of art, especially that of ice." "Hello, Jugo." "Kazuma, it's been far too long." "Yeah, it has." "Don't worry about these guys. I didn't do anything to harm them, really. Even with their own power, they should be able to thaw themselves out in about, I'd say, 30 minutes. I have no worries. I know that you're not the type of person who would use lethal force against family." "Don't tempt me now. The old man tried it, and I put him in the hospital." "So it was you, then, that he got into trouble with." "You know it. Please, come in. I believe we have much to discuss." "We do. I think I know who's behind what's been going on with the Kanagi family. And they took Ren." Ayano would arrive shortly after, as the members who had been frozen over were starting to thaw themselves out, alerting them that it was Kazuma that did it. Ayano felt her anger beginning to flare as she summoned in Raiha, ready to join into the battle and strike him down finally. While on the inside, Kazuma and Fuga were going over the information that they had with each other, as Kazuma was able to point out exactly who was the one responsible. Of course, at first glance, it would appear that they looked similar, but they couldn't be any more different. A member of the Fuga clan, an underbranch clan that served the Kanagis. His name, Ryuya Kazumaki. The door would immediately fling open as Ayano came charging in with Imraiha, only for her to be stopped by the commanding voice of her father, who put her in her place. After assessing the situation and taking her seat, Kazuma would explain what happened, and in turn, Fuga was able to put together the truth of the matter. So, the Fuga clan are the ones responsible, and it seems they are looking to take revenge against the Kanagi. But why, father? Ayano would ask. Why would the Fuga clan do such a thing? They've been serving our clan loyally for over 300 years. It's a great honor. We've always taken care of them, shown them kindness. How could they betray us like this? From your point of view, maybe. And what's that supposed to mean? Ayano would ask Kazuma. From your point of view, you think you've done the Fugas a good deed, a service, you will. But in their eyes, they're just slaves to the Kanagi family. Of course, it's not uncommon for clans to be taken in by stronger clans, and you do give them the decency of allowing them to keep their clan name. And just having the association of being with that clan, it can be seen as a privilege. But let me ask you, do you think that there's any honor in defeat? Any honor of being subjugated, of being looked down upon? The Fuga clan are a clan of wind magic users, and you've made no qualms in showing how much you despise anyone that doesn't follow in the path of being a fire magic user. Imagine putting up with that for over 300 years. After a while, you feel like you have to lash shot at something, anything. Fuga would then explain to them the origins of the feud between the Kanagi family and the Fuga family. That over 300 years ago, both clans were in a war with each other. But the war finally came to an end when the Kanagis were able to seal off access of the Fuga's power. The power that they derived from a spirit beast known as Saran. This creature was sealed away in a flame crystal, that if anyone who was not of descent of the main branch of the Kanagi family, if they attempted to touch it, they would be burned away until there was nothing left. So of course, there was no way that any member of the Fuga clan could possibly unleash Saran. But if you were able to use the body of a Kanagi main branch member, using them and their power to undo the seal, it could free the beast, restoring the Fuga to what they once were. But this power was seeped in negative energy, a dark aura. And because of this, if Saran was to be unleashed, it could prove to be catastrophic not only to the Kanagis, but potentially to all of Tokyo, and maybe even the world. Of course, Ayano had a hard time believing that world-ending beast could just be kept stored away so soundly, but it wasn't uncommon. As Kazuma would point out, even a small fire can eventually turn into an inferno. It wasn't that Saran all by himself was powerful. It was just that if he was allowed to roam free for long enough, he could amass a level of power that could do some real damage in the world. Not to say that he wouldn't eventually be stopped, but it's hard to say how many casualties would be caused before they finally managed to kill him. Maybe 100, 200, 500. If he was pushing his luck, maybe even 1,000. And that lied the issue. There were too many lives that would have to be paid before he could be taken down. As such, a mission would have to be enacted to stop the revival of Saran, or his destruction, as well as the safety of Ren. And then, Kazuma made his intentions clear. If he was going to save Ren, he would have to be compensated, of course. Although, Ayano couldn't believe that Kazuma would do something like that. Are you serious? Your own brother's in danger, and you're trying to extort money from your family? How low can you be? I understand, Kazuma. Name your price and we will pay it. What? You can't be... Ayano, I want you to accompany him. Huh? Kazuma would take the payment and would get the car ready. Ayano being left with her father alone, she couldn't make sense of any of this. Why would they be paying Kazuma? He was supposed to want to save his brother. They were family after all, and... That's not the point, Ayano. Paying Kazuma is the way for him to save face. It keeps his pride intact. Who cares about his pride? As if all I see is just Ayano. Yes, father. The Kanagi family is a proud one, wouldn't you say? Of course. Do you carry pride for your family name? Yes. To be the one that wields in Raiha? Of course. I'm proud of my family name, my heritage. I'm proud of the duty that's been given to me. Kazuma was stripped of that pride. As unfortunate as it was, he was stripped of his family name, his pride, his dignity. We casted him out. His existence meant nothing to us. His family turned its back on him. And now that he has returned, he has made a name for himself, Ayano. He gained his power, a power that you can say is even equal to ours, an ice magic user. He has formed a contract with the Queen of Ice, just as we have with the King of Fire. That is no easy feat. Because of that, if we were just to boss him around, to order him to do things in the name of the Kanagis, that would not only be disrespectful to him, it would be disrespectful to the queen whom he formed the contract with. At least with a form of payment, it allows him to save his brother. It allows him to keep his dignity. That is the way of things. For Ayano, she now understood. She didn't like it, of course, but she now understood better. They would race to the mountains of the west, where the Fuga clan were set to complete their ritual, to unleash Saran. As they made their way, they would be intercepted. It was none other than the Fuga clan's future leader, the one of whom they had put all of their hope in. Ryuya. Ryuya would descend upon the both of them, his cutting wind slashing at the car and diverting it off track. Kazuma and Ayano would break free. Ayano quickly summoned in Raiha. All she had to do was strike him down. Once they did that, any plans of resurrecting Saran would be done for. And for Kazuma, if he was here, it meant that he could go get Ren before they undid the seal. At least he hoped. He would leave the fighting to Ayano as he went off to go and save Ren, confronting the other members of the Fuga clan. On the bright side, Saran wasn't at entire power yet, but on the downside, the seal had been undone, and Saran was starting to awaken. The Fuga clan looked on happily. believing that they were finally on the cusp of getting revenge, only for a cold, bellowing wind to send a shiver down their spines as Kazuma descended from the sky above, grabbing his little brother and looking back to the clan with malice. "You've returned, Kazuma," the leader of the Fuga clan would say. "Why do you wish to interfere? Surely your hatred for the Kanagis, it runs just as deep as ours." Well, I can't say you're wrong about that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the Kanagi's biggest fan either. But I was hired. This is a job, nothing more, nothing less. A job? Then fine, we'll pay you. We'll pay you double just to back away. Yeah, I doubt it. You guys have been the serving branch of the Kanagis for over 300 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure you guys got some decent pocket change, but you don't got a bank, and the Kanagis have got a bank. But when we destroy the Kanagis, they'll have nothing. They will be desolate. You can join us, get your revenge. You can take everything you want. You can have it all. So why? Why stand in our way now? You want the truth? Fine. Whether the Kanagis live or die, I really don't give a damn. I feel like I can't stress that enough. But I feel like no one seems to get that. You see, you guys, the Kanagis, every other clan or would-be, wanna-be, mishmash of powerhouses or whatever you want to call themselves, you think you're hot shots. You think your name makes you special? It means nothing to me. Nothing at all. You can call me Kanagi, call me Yoma, whatever. It makes no difference. I live for myself. I fight for myself. I'm my own man. That's all that matters. I got paid to do a job, and that's what I'm going to do. And the bonus part, I get to kick the ass of the bastards that tried to use my brother as a sacrifice. So believe me, this is very personal. Very well then. You're just another Kanagi scum. You too will be a sacrifice for Saran. It was just then that Ryoya would hover above them. And if you're here, Kazuma would say, and if you're here, that means Ayano lost, huh? What else would you expect? I am the host to one of the most powerful of the spirit beasts, the one who will dethrone the Kanagi family once and for all. Yeah, beating up on the Kanagis. You guys have gotten really good at doing that. Only difference is, I'm not a Kanagi. You can call yourself whatever you want. In the end, you have the same blood as they do, and as such, you will suffer the same fate. Yeah, I don't think so. Kazuma would grab hold of Ren as they went to go find Ayano. At this point, it was better for them to regroup and come up with a new strategy. As for the Fuga, Saran would awaken, but, to their horror, Saran's anger had grown to the point where the beast didn't care whether or not you were Fuga or Kanagi. In the end, for its suffering, for its humiliation, and for its pain, all in its wake were going to die, Fuga and Kanagi alike. Ayano would be found battered and beaten not too far from where she had been left. It looked like she wasn't going to make it. What are we going to do? Ren would ask. Yeah, they really did a number on her, didn't they? Damn it. What? At this point, I think this is the only thing that can help her, Kazuma said as he pulled out a vial of elixir. What is that? It's a special type of medicine. It's an alchemic elixir, one of the rarest in the world. It can treat almost anything, but even if you get one bottle, it's said that you'll never get a second. And? Well, I just don't know if I want to waste my one good bottle on her. You know how hard it was for me to get my hands on this stuff? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I wanted to die or anything, but this'll fetch a pretty penny on the market, and you can't be serious. Ayano's gonna die if you don't do something. Look, I really want to help. It's just that Kazuma! Ren's body would be enveloped by the righteous flame as he looked to his brother seriously. Hand over the damn elixir. So, the flames of righteousness. You were able to summon them. A fire that burns not from one's own selfish desire, but from the desire to help others in need. You've done it, Ren, Kazuma thought to himself. All right, I'll help her. You can put away the fire show now, all right? She's not even going to be able to swallow it. Great. Guess it can't be helped. Kazuma would open up the vial as he poured the elixir into his mouth, before giving mouth-to-mouth elixir treatment. For Ren, this was all way too embarrassing, but for Kazuma, it was the only way to get her to drink the stuff. Eventually, Ayano would awaken, and safe to say, she was not too pleased with the current status of the situation at all. But for Kazuma, he didn't really much care. She was alive now, and that was the only thing that mattered. So, what's the magic word? Thank you. There, was that so hard? Things don't always have to be awkward unless you make them. But what are we going to do now, though? I mean, Saran's escaped now. He's not entirely powerful yet, but Saran has the ability to gather smaller and more deadlier spirits around it. The longer it's allowed to roam free, the stronger it's going to get. That's going to be the issue. Then we have to stop it. You're right, we do. Otherwise, I don't get paid. Ayano would look at him angrily. The fact that they had to deal with a monstrous Yoma and the only thing he could care about right now was money. Really? Is that the only thing on your mind right now? I mean, yeah. You can't get paid when you're dead. What about honor? What about self-sacrifice? What about... Yeah, and none of that crap matters when you're dead either. When you die, Ayano, it's over. There's no second chances. There's no going back. That's the end of everything. Self-sacrifice is stupid. Because dead people can't help anyone. Instead of going off trying to get yourself killed, why don't you think about what you can do to help others? Even if you have to fall back, even if you have to retreat. Retreat is better than to die, because at least then you get a second chance. If you go into this fight thinking, oh, I'll just burn myself away into the ash and flame, well, good for you. Your family will throw you a funeral service and will make sure we mourn you once a year or so. But other than that, nothing. Life goes on. The world goes on without you. I know, it's just... I'm not telling you not to help. I'm not telling you not to give it everything you've got. I'm only saying don't die. As the group would make their way towards Saran, there were more spirits that were starting to give chase. They were lesser, more weaker spirits, but still dangerous all the same. I'll stay back and hold them off. Ren would say. All right, we're counting on you. As Ren would stay back to fight against the spirits, Ayano and Kazuma would move on ahead, as Saran had now entered into his monstrous form, akin to something of a hybrid humanoid pterodactyl winged-looking thing, apropos to the monster that it was. Is that Ryuya? Used to be Ryuya. Ryuya's become nothing more but the host to that monster. Saran now lives once again. Really was hoping I wouldn't have to go back into this form so soon. Form? I need you to buy me some time, alright? What? As much time as you can. As Kazuma stayed back and began to gather the spirits around him, Ayano would summon in Raiha as she went forth against the monstrous Saran, allowing Kazuma time to focus. All right, Queen. I'm going to need you to lend me your domain. Please, entrust me with your power. His eyes would glow from a blue to a faint pearl white, as his whole body was encased in a block of ice. Ayano would continue her fight against Saran, the air beginning to get colder and colder around them. Even though they were still in the midst of summer, it felt like somehow winter had come upon them. The howling winds bursting forth, not just coming from Saran. The ground beginning to be covered in a frost. The trees looking like they had been carved out of snow. A winter wonderland. Ayano would strike with the full strength of Enraiha only to be knocked back, only able to leaving a scar against Saran's chest. As she fell over, the block of ice would burst as Kazuma would step forward, Ayano seeing him in his true form. Kazuma, is that you? What, were you expecting Jack Frost or something? Kazuma would say. But your whole body, Yeah, I'm ice. I guess it explains why you have such a cold heart. Nah, my heart was cold long before this. Ice magic user. Yeah, that's me. So, the big bad Saran. You look more like chicken. You will pay for your insolence, boy. Yeah, we'll see about that. Kazuma would begin to shoot pellets of ice towards Saran as he created large marbled stones of ice, flinging them towards the flying creature, who would shoot out torrents of wind, creating a powerful gust and tornado. The clash of the two elements would be great, sending off strong wind currents and bursts of cold in every direction. A wind magic user and an ice magic user. Two powerful individuals whose fight was terraforming the ground around them. As for Ayano, she was in awe of what she was seeing. Kazuma in this light and magnitude. The type of power that he possessed. It wasn't like anything she could have ever fathomed. He's not the same. Not like before, she thought to herself. If this was the true power of an ice magic user, she really did have a long way to go. As the fight continued, they seemed to be in an even stalemate, both of them gathering the spirits around them. But Saran was just a bit faster, but that was to be expected. There weren't a lot of ice spirits out there, and this wasn't their particular season. You see, ice spirits are a lot different from others. They're some of the most powerful, but you won't find them just anywhere. They like to dwell where it's coldest, and if you're an ice magic user, and for example, let's say you're in the Sahara Desert, sure, you can call on them, but it's going to take them a while to get to you. But if you were to be, say, in the middle of Antarctica, you could summon them by the hundreds, maybe even the thousands. And it all depends on where you're at during a time of year. A place that experiences the four seasons, your powers are going to be a bit more capable in the wintertime than, say, the spring or the summer. And for now, in the midst of summer, Kazuma, while he was able to summon ice spirits, couldn't summon them as fast as Saran was summoning wind spirits, leaving him at a disadvantage and putting him on a defensive. He had managed to seal off an area in ice, slowing down Saran long enough as he called out to Ayano. "What do you need from me?" "You're going to help me finish this fight. If we keep it up, he's going to eventually outpace me." "What?" "Look, I'm going to create an opening, and I need you to channel the power of Inraiha and strike him at the heart." "But You can do it. You have nothing to worry about. I have faith in you. So have some faith in yourself. Or are you not the inheritor of Inraiha, the one who will be head of the Kanagi family, the one destined to sit on the throne made for you by the King of Fire? Or do you not think yourself worthy enough anymore?" "Don't underestimate me, Kazuma. I don't care how much power you got. In the end, your ice will still never beat my flames." "Then show me. Show me what you're capable of then." "Fine. You create that damn opening, and I'll finish this thing in one strike. Inraiha, come forth!" "All right, beast. Playtime's over. You will never be able to stop me. My revenge is inevitable. First, I will devour all of the souls of the Kanagi, and then this land, and I will move to one after the other. I will be all that remains." "You have high ambitions, my friend. It's a shame that I have to snuff them out now." "All right, Queen of the Ice, allow me to enter into your domain. Please, bless your contractor." The ice spirits would now all congeal around Kazuma as he used his ultimate technique, Absolute Zero. Saran would go diving towards Kazuma, as Kazuma would shoot a blast of ice. He put all of his efforts into it, freezing Saran as he began to slow down, until eventually he was slowed to complete stillness. With Ayano's chance, she would pierce through the chest of Saran within Raiha. As she channeled the flame spirits within, the blazing power of the sword would strike away at the beast's heart, as his body would break away into ice, scattered to the winds. Ayano would fall into Kazuma's arms, and Kazuma would collapse onto the ground completely exhausted, his body reverting back to normal. Oh, boy. Man, that took a lot out of me. Oh. "What was that?" Ayano would ask. "It's Absolute Zero. It's a technique that I developed. One fire shot, one attack, If it hits my opponent, it freezes them to absolute zero. It effectively kills them, unless they have some type of way of deferring it. But it comes at a cost. Once I use it, I go back into my regular form, and I won't be able to transform for the next 24 hours. You really used up all your power, huh? Yep, but you did it. You were able to strike him down with them Raiha. Yeah, but hey guys, it looks like you were able to do. Ugh! Ren turned his eyes quickly because Ayano hadn't realized it, but they were in a rather compromising predicament. Hey, you mind getting off me? I mean, I'm flattered and all, but I usually prefer if I take a girl out to dinner before she... Oh! Kazuma? You jerk! Oh, get off of me! Damn it! Oh. With that, Ren and Ayano would return back to the Kanagi compound, safe from harm. And for Kazuma, he decided to pay someone a visit. His old man. For Genma, he wasn't going to say it aloud, but his son had done a pretty good job. He was still a brat, and when he got out, he was going to put him in his place. But for Kazuma, all seemed well. He wasn't sure what he was going to do now. He could probably go anywhere, do anything, but he figured he'd stay in Japan for a while. After all, there was a lot of catching up to do. Some old friends he hadn't seen in a while. He wondered how they were doing. In the meantime, on a building overlooking the city of Tokyo, a young man who was also disparaged from the Kanagi family looks on under the cover of night. He holds in his hand a lighter that he flicks on and off, the flame rising and falling at his command. Well, that was quite the show, Kazuma. I didn't think you'd actually come back, let alone as an ice magic user. Safe to say, things are really gonna heat up now. But in the end, the one to claim in Raiha is gonna be me. This concludes Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman? Season 1, Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow as we continue with Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman? Season 1, Part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.